What if everything you know about intelligence is wrong? Deep beneath your feet, hidden under the forest floor, an ancient biological internet has been operating for millions of years. Trees are not silent. They communicate, share resources, warn each other of danger, and even nurture their young through a mysterious underground network. Today, we're uncovering the secret world of Earth's oldest forests, a hidden intelligence that may change the way we understand life itself. For millions of years, this hidden network has connected entire forests into one living system. But the most shocking discovery is only beginning to emerge. What if forests are far more intelligent than we ever imagined? What if I told you that beneath every forest on Earth lies a hidden communication network more complex than many human technologies? A living internet that has existed for hundreds of millions of years, long before humans built cities, invented computers, or connected the world through fiber optic cables. Every step you take through a forest covers a vast underground civilization that most people never see. Beneath the soil, billions of microscopic fungal threads connect trees, plants, and entire ecosystems into a gigantic biological network. Scientists call it the mycorrhizal network, but many researchers have given it another name that sounds almost unbelievable: the Wood Wide Web. For decades, forests were viewed as collections of individual trees competing against one another for sunlight, water, and nutrients. The strongest survived while the weakest died. That was the accepted scientific belief. But a growing body of evidence has completely transformed our understanding of nature. Researchers discovered that forests are not simply groups of isolated organisms. Instead, they function more like interconnected communities where information, nutrients, and chemical signals constantly flow between members. Massive ancient trees known as mother trees occupy central positions within these underground networks. These giant trees are connected to hundreds of neighboring plants through fungal pathways stretching across the forest floor. Through these connections, they distribute nutrients, send warning signals, and even assist younger saplings struggling to survive beneath the canopy. In some experiments, scientists track carbon molecules moving from one tree to another through fungal networks hidden underground. Healthy trees transferred resources to weaker neighbors. Older trees supported younger generations. The behavior appeared surprisingly cooperative. Even more astonishing, trees can communicate danger. When insects attack a tree, chemical distress signals travel through the network, warning neighboring trees before the threat reaches them. Those nearby trees then begin producing defensive chemicals to protect themselves. The forest is effectively sharing information. Imagine a city where every citizen instantly receives alerts before danger arrives. That is remarkably similar to what occurs beneath the forest floor every day. The fungal network itself is extraordinary. A single teaspoon of healthy forest soil may contain kilometers of microscopic fungal threads. These threads form biological highways connecting roots across enormous distances. Some fungal networks span entire forests and can survive for centuries. One of the largest known fungal organisms on Earth covers thousands of acres underground. It is so vast that it can be seen as a single living organism despite covering an area larger than many cities. Scientists once believed intelligence required a brain. Forests challenge that assumption. Trees have no brains, no nervous systems, and no centralized control centers. Yet collectively they demonstrate behaviors that appear organized, adaptive, and highly responsive to environmental changes. Researchers have observed forests allocating resources efficiently, responding to threats, supporting vulnerable members, and maintaining ecosystem stability over long periods. These discoveries raise profound questions. Can intelligence emerge from networks rather than individual minds? Is communication limited to animals, or does it exist throughout nature in forms we are only beginning to understand? Some scientists remain cautious about using terms like intelligence or consciousness. They argue that these behaviors result from evolutionary processes rather than deliberate decisions. Others believe forests may represent a completely different form of distributed intelligence, unlike anything humans have previously encountered. Regardless of interpretation, the evidence reveals something extraordinary. Forests are far more dynamic. interconnected, and sophisticated than anyone imagined. Every ancient woodland hides a vast invisible world of relationships operating continuously beneath the surface. As we continue exploring this hidden network, we may discover that forests are not merely landscapes filled with trees. They may be among the most complex living systems on Earth. In the coming chapters, we will descend deeper into this subterranean realm, uncovering how fungal networks transport information, how mother trees guide entire ecosystems, and why some scientists believe the oldest forests on Earth possess forms of collective behavior that challenge our understanding of life itself. The next time you walk through a forest, remember that beneath your feet, countless messages are moving through an invisible biological web that has connected life on Earth for millions of years. Imagine standing in the middle of an ancient forest. Above you, towering trees stretch toward the sky, their leaves capturing sunlight and transforming it into energy. Everything appears calm and silent. Yet, beneath the soil, an invisible network is buzzing with activity. Messages are traveling, resources are being exchanged, and information is constantly flowing between organisms. Scientists call this hidden system the mycorrhizal network, but many researchers refer to it as the wood wide web because its structure resembles the internet humanity created only recently. The difference is that nature invented this network hundreds of millions of years before humans ever imagined computers. At the center of this system are fungi. These organisms produce microscopic thread-like structures known as hyphae. Individually, a hypha is incredibly small, but together they form vast underground webs called mycelium. These fungal highways spread through the soil, connecting roots from different trees and plants. A single fungal network can link dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of trees into one giant biological system. When scientists first discovered these connections, they believed the fungi simply help plants absorb nutrients. While that is true, researchers soon realized something much more remarkable was happening. The fungi were also transferring information and resources between connected plants. In many ways, they functioned like biological fiber optic cables carrying signals across the forest. Through these fungal pathways, trees exchange carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, water, and countless chemical compounds essential for survival. Large, healthy trees often share resources with younger saplings growing in the shade. These young trees may receive nutrients they could never gather on their own. In return, the fungi receive sugars produced by photosynthesis. Both partners benefit from the relationship, creating one of nature's most successful alliances. Experiments conducted in forests around the world have revealed astonishing examples of this cooperation. Scientists introduced radioactive carbon into a single tree and later discovered the carbon appearing in neighboring trees connected through fungal networks. The nutrients had traveled underground from one organism to another. This proved that forests are not simply collections of isolated individuals. They are interconnected communities capable of sharing resources across significant distances. Even more surprising is the speed at which information can travel. When a tree experiences stress caused by drought, disease, or insect attacks, chemical signals move through the fungal network toward neighboring trees. These warnings allow surrounding plants to prepare defenses before danger arrives. Some begin producing bitter chemicals that discourage insects. Others strengthen their immune responses against pathogens. It is a natural early warning system operating continuously beneath the forest floor. Scientists have also discovered electrical signals moving through fungal networks. These impulses resemble simple versions of signals found in animal nervous systems. Although they are not identical to human brain activity, they demonstrate that information can move rapidly through biological networks without requiring a centralized brain. This discovery has sparked intense scientific debate. Could forests process information in ways we do not yet fully understand? Some researchers compare fungal networks to neural networks found in brains. Both involve interconnected pathways transmitting signals between distant locations. While forests do not think like humans, Their ability to coordinate responses across vast ecosystems suggests a level of complexity that challenges traditional definitions of intelligence. Ancient forests provide the most dramatic examples of these networks. In old-growth ecosystems, some fungal connections may persist for centuries. Massive mother trees occupy central. Entire underground ecosystems may still be waiting to be discovered. Every year, new research reveals additional layers of complexity hidden beneath our feet. What once appeared to be simple soil is now understood as one of the most biologically active environments on the planet. The Wood Wide Web forces us to rethink our relationship with nature. Forests are not passive collections of trees standing silently in the wilderness. They are dynamic networks exchanging information, resources, and signals through systems refined over millions of years of evolution. Long before humanity built the internet, nature had already connected entire ecosystems through an invisible web stretching beneath the ground. And as scientists continue decoding this ancient communication system, they are uncovering evidence that the oldest forests on Earth may operate more like living superorganisms than anyone ever imagined. In the next chapter, we will meet the giants that control much of this hidden network, the ancient mother trees that silently shape the fate of entire forests from below the surface. Deep within Earth's oldest forests stand living giants that have witnessed centuries, and sometimes even millennia, of history. These enormous ancient trees survived storms, droughts, wildfires, and countless environmental changes. Long before modern civilizations existed, they were already growing. For generations, scientists viewed these giant trees as simply older members of the forest. But recent discoveries have revealed a far more extraordinary reality. Many of these ancient giants function as the central communication hubs of the underground Wood Wide Web. Researchers now call them mother trees. These trees are not leaders in the human sense, yet their influence extends throughout entire ecosystems. Through vast fungal networks, mother trees maintain connections with hundreds of surrounding plants, creating one of nature's most sophisticated support systems. Their massive root structures and extensive fungal partnerships allow them to exchange resources with younger trees across large areas. In many forests, a single mother tree can be connected to dozens of saplings growing beneath the canopy. These young trees often struggle to receive enough sunlight because larger trees block much of the available light. Under normal circumstances, many of these saplings would die. Yet scientists discovered that mother trees help keep them alive. Through underground fungal pathways, nutrients and carbon flow from mature trees into young seedlings, providing critical support during their most vulnerable years. This process is remarkably similar to parents supporting their children until they can survive independently. One groundbreaking study tracked carbon movement within a forest ecosystem. Researchers found that older trees transferred significant amounts of carbon to nearby seedlings through fungal networks. Even more astonishing, the transfer appeared strongest between genetically related trees. In other words, mother trees seem to prioritize supporting their own offspring, although this behavior results from biological processes rather than conscious decisions. The outcome resembles a sophisticated form of family support. The influence of mother trees extends far beyond nutrient sharing. They also act as communication centers within the forest. When a tree connected to the network experiences stress, warning signals can spread through fungal pathways to neighboring plants. Because mother trees occupy central positions within the network, they often play a critical role in distributing these signals. Their extensive connections allow information to travel efficiently throughout the ecosystem. In this way, they function almost like communication towers within a vast biological internet. Scientists studying old-growth forests have discovered that removing large mother trees can dramatically weaken the entire network. When these giants disappear, fungal connections become fragmented, nutrient sharing decreases, and young seedlings often experience lower survival rates. The loss affects not only individual trees, but the stability of the entire forest community. This finding has transformed modern forest management practices. Conservationists increasingly recognize that protecting ancient trees is essential for preserving ecosystem resilience. Some mother trees are truly ancient. In North America, giant sequoias and bristlecone pines can live for thousands of years. In Europe, ancient oaks have survived for centuries. Across tropical rainforests, enormous emergent trees rise above the canopy like living skyscrapers. These giants serve as biological archives, storing centuries of ecological knowledge within their growth patterns. They have endured climate shifts, disease outbreaks, and environmental disturbances that younger trees have never experienced. Their survival strategies are embedded within the forest network itself. The idea that forests contain central hubs challenges traditional views of nature. For decades, ecosystems were often described primarily through competition. Plants competed for sunlight. Trees competed for nutrients. Survival depended on outcompeting neighbors. While competition certainly exists, the discovery of Mother Trees reveals another side of nature, one built on cooperation, connectivity, and mutual support. Forests are not merely battlefields where organisms fight for survival. They are also communities where relationships increase the chances of collective success. The existence of mother trees raises fascinating questions about the organization of life. How does a forest maintain stability across hundreds of years? How do ecosystems recover after disasters? Why do some forests remain healthy while others collapse under environmental stress? Increasingly, scientists believe the answers lie within these hidden underground networks and the ancient giants that sustain them. Every mother tree represents far more than a single organism. It serves as a living bridge between generations, connecting the past, present, and future of the forest. Long after individual plants die, the network continues. New seedlings emerge, fungal pathways expand, and the cycle of life persists. Beneath the quiet beauty of the forest lies a sophisticated system of support that has evolved over millions of years. And the deeper scientists investigate these ancient giants, the more they realize that forests may be among the most interconnected living communities on Earth. In the next chapter, we will explore how trees send emergency warnings across vast distances and discover the astonishing methods forests use to defend themselves against predators, disease, and environmental threats. Imagine a caterpillar landing on a leaf high within a forest canopy. At first glance, the event seems insignificant. One tiny insect begins feeding on a single tree. But beneath the surface, something extraordinary is about to happen. Within minutes, chemical alarms begin spreading through the tree's tissues. Even more remarkably, warning messages start traveling toward neighboring trees through the underground wood wide web, long before humans invented emergency communication systems. Forests had already developed their own sophisticated methods of sharing information. Scientists once believed trees were passive organisms incapable of responding quickly to threats. Modern research has completely overturned that assumption. Trees constantly monitor their surroundings and react to danger with astonishing precision. When insects attack leaves, trees release chemical compounds known as volatile organic compounds into the air. These airborne chemicals act like warning signals. Nearby trees detect these molecules and begin preparing their defenses before the attackers reach them. It is similar to receiving a warning message before a storm arrives. But the forest possesses an even more secret communication system underground. Through fungal networks, chemical signals travel directly from one tree's roots to another. Researchers have observed warning messages spreading through these hidden pathways when plants experience insect attacks, disease infections, drought conditions, or environmental stress. Connected trees often respond before visible damage occurs. They increase production of defensive chemicals, strengthen protective tissues, and activate biological systems designed to resist future attacks. Some trees produce bitter compounds that make their leaves less appealing to insects. Others release toxins that interfere with the digestion of herbivores. Certain species even attract predators that feed on the insects attacking them. In one remarkable example, acacia trees under attack by grazing animals release chemicals into the air that warn nearby acacias. Those neighboring trees rapidly increase tannin production, making their leaves difficult and sometimes dangerous for herbivores to consume. The attackers unknowingly trigger a forest-wide defense response. Underground, fungal networks enhance this communication even further. Scientists conducted experiments by exposing individual plants to insect damage while monitoring neighboring plants connected through fungal pathways. The connected plants often activated defense genes despite never being attacked themselves. The information had traveled through the network before the threat physically arrived. It was evidence that forests share intelligence across multiple communication channels simultaneously. Researchers are still discovering how these warning systems function. Some signals involve chemical compounds moving through fungal threads. Others may involve electrical impulses traveling through root networks. Recent studies have revealed electrical activity within fungal systems that resembles simple information transmission processes, although these signals are not identical to those in animal nervous systems. They demonstrate that complex biological networks can rapidly distribute information without a centralized brain. Forest communication becomes especially important during disease outbreaks. Pathogens can spread quickly through dense ecosystems, threatening entire populations of trees. Early warning signals may provide neighboring plants with valuable time to activate immune responses before infection occurs. This ability increases the resilience of the entire forest community. Rather than facing threats alone, connected trees benefit from collective awareness. The more scientists investigate these systems, the more forests appear less like collections of individual organisms and more like coordinated networks sharing information for mutual survival. This does not mean trees think or communicate like humans. They do not speak, plan, or make conscious decisions. Yet their biological responses create outcomes that often resemble forms of cooperation and information exchange. Nature has evolved mechanisms that allow forests to function as interconnected systems capable of responding to challenges on a community-wide scale. Ancient forests demonstrate these abilities most dramatically. Their dense networks contain countless connections built over centuries. When danger emerges, signals can spread across vast areas through pathways established long before modern civilization existed. Every root, fungal thread, and chemical messenger becomes part of a living information network hidden beneath the soil. These discoveries force scientists to reconsider traditional assumptions about communication in nature. Intelligence may not always require brains. Information processing may not always require neurons. Forests reveal that life can evolve entirely different strategies for sensing, responding, and adapting to the world. Beneath every woodland, millions of silent messages move continuously through roots and fungi, helping organisms survive in environments filled with uncertainty. The next time you see a forest standing peacefully in the wind, remember that beneath that calm surface lies a hidden world of warnings, signals, and biological conversations unfolding every second. And in the next chapter, we will uncover one of the most controversial questions in modern science. Can forests actually learn and remember information from past experiences? For centuries, memory was considered one of the defining characteristics of intelligent animals. Humans remember childhood experiences. Birds remember migration routes. Elephants remember water sources across vast landscapes. Memory seemed inseparable from brains and nervous systems. Trees, lacking both, were assumed incapable of remembering anything at all. Yet a growing number of scientific studies are challenging that assumption. Across laboratories and forests worldwide, researchers are uncovering evidence suggesting that plants may possess forms of memory, unlike anything previously imagined. Not memory in the human sense, but biological systems capable of storing information from past experiences and using that information to improve future survival. If these discoveries are correct, forests may be far more sophisticated than anyone ever believed. One of the most fascinating examples involves drought resistance. When young plants experience periods of water scarcity, something remarkable often happens. After surviving the drought, they become better prepared for future dry conditions. Scientists observe that plants exposed to stress sometimes activate genetic pathways that remain partially prepared even after conditions improve. When drought returns, these plants respond faster and more effectively than individuals experiencing the stress for the first time. In essence, the plant has retained information about a previous challenge. Researchers call this phenomenon stress memory. Similar effects have been observed with temperature fluctuations, disease exposure, and environmental disturbances. The plant does not consciously remember events, but biological changes created by past experiences influence future behavior. This ability significantly increases survival chances in unpredictable environments. Forest ecosystems contain countless examples of organisms adapting based on previous encounters with environmental pressures. Another astonishing discovery involves seedlings connected to mother trees through fungal networks. Some estudios suggest that seedlings receiving resources and signals through these networks develop enhanced resilience to environmental stress. Scientists believe information may be transferred through chemical and biological pathways that influence how young plants respond to future conditions. While research remains ongoing, the findings hint at a level of ecological learning occurring across generations. Information is not stored in brains, but embedded within biological systems spanning entire ecosystems. The concept becomes even more intriguing when examining epigenetics. Epigenetic changes alter how genes are expressed without changing the underlying DNA sequence. Environmental experiences can trigger these modifications, allowing organisms to adjust their behavior based on past conditions. In some cases, information may even be passed to future generations. This means that experiences affecting one generation of trees could influence how their offspring respond to similar challenges decades later. Ancient forests may therefore contain layers of accumulated environmental knowledge stretching across centuries. Trees that survived droughts, fires, storms, and disease outbreaks leave biological legacies influencing future generations. Every ring within a tree trunk represents a record of environmental conditions experienced throughout its life. Scientists studying tree rings can reconstruct centuries of climate history. The trees themselves become living archives preserving information about Earth's changing environment. Forest memory may also exist at the ecosystem level. Underground fungal networks persist for decades and sometimes centuries. These networks connect multiple generations of plants, creating a long-term pathway through which resources and signals flow. Even when individual trees die, portions of the network often survive, linking newly established seedlings to existing ecological communities. Information encoded within these relationships may contribute to the remarkable stability of old-growth forests. Researchers have conducted experiments demonstrating that plants can alter their responses based on repeated exposure to specific stimuli. In one study, plants repeatedly exposed to harmless disturbances eventually stopped reacting as strongly, conserving energy by recognizing that the stimulus posed no threat. This behavior resembles a basic form of learning. The plant adjusts its response based on previous experience. Although the mechanisms differ dramatically from animal learning, the result suggests that biological systems without brains can still modify behavior through experience. These findings challenge long-standing assumptions about intelligence and memory. Perhaps these abilities exist across a broader spectrum of life than previously recognized. Forests may represent distributed systems capable of storing, transmitting, and utilizing information through mechanisms entirely different from those found in animals. Such possibilities remain controversial within the scientific community. Many researchers caution against anthropomorphizing plants or attributing human-like qualities where none exist. Yet even the most skeptical scientists acknowledge that plants possess capabilities far more complex than once believed. Every year reveals new layers of sophistication hidden within forest ecosystems. Whether described as memory, adaptation, learning, or information retention, the evidence points toward one undeniable conclusion: forests are active participants in their environments, constantly responding to past experiences and preparing for future challenges. The silent trees surrounding us are not passive decorations in nature's landscape. They are living organisms shaped by millions of years of evolutionary experience, connected through networks that continue to surprise the scientific world. In the next chapter, we will explore one of the strangest mysteries ever discovered beneath the forest floor: the hidden fungal kingdoms that make the entire Wide Web possible. When most people think about life on Earth, they imagine animals, trees, birds, or perhaps oceans filled with strange creatures. Few ever think about the vast kingdom hidden beneath their feet. Yet without this invisible world, forests as we know them could not exist. Beneath every healthy woodland lies a gigantic underground civilization built by fungi. These organisms are neither plants nor animals. They belong to an entirely different kingdom of life, one that has existed for over 1 billion years. While trees dominate the visible landscape, fungi control much of what happens underground. Their hidden networks connect ecosystems, recycle nutrients, and maintain the balance of life itself. Scientists are only beginning to understand the true scale of this underground empire. The mushrooms we see emerging from the forest floor are only tiny reproductive structures. They are comparable to apples growing on a tree. The real organism exists below the surface. Hidden within the soil are countless microscopic threads called hyphae. Together these threads form vast structures known as mycelium. A single mycelial network can spread across enormous distances, connecting roots, rocks, decaying wood, and entire ecosystems. Some fungal networks are so large that they rank among the biggest living organisms on Earth. One famous example exists in Oregon, United States. Scientists discovered a giant fungus covering more than 3 square miles beneath a forest. Genetic analysis revealed that the entire network was a single organism. It had been growing for thousands of years, quietly expanding through the soil while remaining almost completely invisible. Imagine a living creature larger than many cities existing beneath the ground without most people ever knowing it was there. Fungi perform one of the most important jobs in nature: decomposition. Every year, billions of leaves, branches, roots, and dead organisms fall to the forest floor. Without decomposers, these materials would accumulate endlessly. Nutrients would remain trapped, and ecosystems would eventually collapse. Fungi break down complex organic matter into simpler compounds that can be reused by plants. In many ways, they act as Earth's recycling system. But fungi do much more than recycle nutrients. Through symbiotic relationships with plants, they create the wood wide web itself. Trees provide sugars produced through photosynthesis. In exchange, fungi help trees absorb water and nutrients from the soil. This partnership is incredibly efficient. A fungal network can reach areas far beyond the range of a tree's roots. The fungi essentially extend the tree's ability to gather resources. Both partners benefit, creating a relationship that has shaped terrestrial life for hundreds of millions of years. Scientists estimate that over 90% of land plants from partnerships with fungi. This means most forests on Earth depend on fungal networks for survival. Without these underground connections, ecosystems would become far less productive and resilient. Entire forests owe their existence to organisms that remain largely hidden from view. Recent discoveries have revealed even stranger possibilities. Researchers studying fungal networks found evidence that they can transmit information through electrical signals. Tiny pulses move through fungal threads in patterns that resemble basic communication systems. Some scientists Compare these signals to primitive versions of neural activity. While fungi do not possess brains, their networks appear capable of processing environmental information and responding dynamically to changing conditions. The implications are astonishing. A fungal network may detect environmental changes in one area and influence biological responses elsewhere. Moisture levels, nutrient availability, temperature fluctuations, and chemical signals can all affect how the network behaves. Rather than existing as passive structures, fungal systems appear highly responsive and adaptive. They continuously interact with the ecosystems around them. Ancient forests contain the most complex fungal communities on Earth. Beneath centuries-old trees lies an intricate web built over generations. Thousands of species interact within this hidden world. Some fungi support plant growth. Others protect roots from harmful pathogens. Certain species even help trees survive environmental stress. Together, they form an underground ecosystem as rich and diverse as the forest above. Researchers exploring these hidden kingdoms often describe them as alien worlds beneath our feet. The deeper they investigate, the more complexity they uncover. Networks branch endlessly through the soil. Chemical exchanges occur constantly. Resources move between organisms. Information flows through biological pathways invisible to the human eye. What once seemed like ordinary dirt is now recognized as one of the most active and important environments on the planet. Perhaps the most remarkable realization is that forests are not built solely by trees. The towering giants visible above ground represent only half the story. Beneath them exists another world just as important, a hidden kingdom responsible for connecting, supporting, and sustaining the entire ecosystem. Every forest depends on this invisible foundation. As scientists continue exploring the fungal world, they are uncovering secrets that challenge our understanding of life itself. These organisms may hold clues about communication, cooperation, adaptation, and the evolution of complex biological systems. The hidden kingdom beneath the forest floor is no longer viewed as a background component of nature. It is increasingly recognized as one of Earth's greatest biological wonders. And in the next chapter, we will uncover an even more astonishing mystery: how forests survive massive disasters such as wildfires, storms, and climate change, and why ancient ecosystems often recover faster than scientists once thought possible. Throughout Earth's history, forests have faced unimaginable disasters. Gigantic wildfires have swept across continents. Powerful storms have flattened millions of trees. Ice ages have transformed entire ecosystems. Volcanic eruptions have darkened skies for years. More recently, climate change has introduced challenges that are altering weather patterns across the planet. Yet despite these catastrophic events, forests continue to survive. Some ancient ecosystems have endured for thousands of years. How is this possible? The answer lies within the remarkable resilience hidden inside forest networks. When humans observe a wildfire, the destruction appears absolute. Towering trees collapse into ash. Thick smoke fills the sky. Entire landscapes seem lifeless. For decades, many people believe that such events completely destroyed forest ecosystems. Modern science has revealed a very different reality. While fires can be devastating, many forests evolved alongside fire and developed extraordinary methods for recovery. In some ecosystems, periodic fires are actually essential for long-term survival. One reason forests recover so effectively is the hidden network beneath the soil. Underground fungal systems often survive even when the visible forest is heavily damaged. These networks remain alive beneath the burned landscape, preserving pathways through which nutrients and resources can later flow. As new plants begin to grow, they reconnect to surviving fungal networks, accelerating ecosystem recovery. What appears destroyed above ground may still be functioning below the surface. Many tree species possess remarkable adaptations to fire. Some have thick bark that protects living tissues from intense heat. Others store seeds that only germinate after exposure to fire. Certain pine cones remain sealed for years until extreme temperatures trigger their release. After a wildfire passes, thousands of seeds suddenly spread across nutrient-rich soil, allowing a new generation of trees to emerge. In this way, destruction becomes part of renewal. Storms create different challenges. Hurricanes, cyclones, and powerful windstorms can topple enormous trees within hours. Entire sections of forest may collapse. Yet these disturbances often create opportunities for regeneration. Fallen trees open gaps in the canopy, allowing sunlight to reach the forest floor. Young saplings that previously struggled in the shade suddenly receive the light needed to grow. Nutrients stored within dead wood gradually return to the ecosystem through decomposition. Over time, the forest reorganizes and continues evolving. Scientists studying old-growth forests discovered that biodiversity plays a critical role in resilience. Forests containing many different species recover more effectively than ecosystems dominated by only a few species. Diversity creates stability. If one species suffers from disease, drought, or environmental stress, others may continue thriving. This reduces the risk of ecosystem collapse. Ancient forests function like highly diversified communities where multiple organisms contribute to collective survival. The underground wood wide web strengthens this resilience even further. Through fungal networks, resources can move toward stressed areas of the ecosystem. Healthy trees may share nutrients with weakened neighbors. Seedlings receive support during difficult periods. Information about environmental changes spreads through connected systems. These interactions help forests respond collectively to challenges rather than relying solely on individual survival. Climate change represents one of the greatest tests forests have faced in modern history. Rising temperatures, shifting rainfall patterns, prolonged droughts, and increasing wildfire intensity are transforming ecosystems worldwide. Some forests are already experiencing conditions unlike anything encountered in recent centuries. Yet, researchers continue discovering evidence of remarkable adaptability within forest communities. Certain tree populations adjust their growth patterns in response to changing temperatures. Others expand into new regions as environmental conditions shift. Fungal networks may also assist adaptation by helping plants access water and nutrients during stressful periods. Ancient ecosystems possess an accumulated history of surviving environmental change. While current challenges are significant, forests have endured dramatic transformations throughout Earth's past. Scientists often compare forests to living immune systems. Just as the human body responds to injury and disease, ecosystems possess mechanisms that detect damage and initiate recovery. Diversity, connectivity, adaptation, and cooperation all contribute to this resilience. The stronger the network, the greater the ability to withstand disruption. One of the most inspiring discoveries involves mother trees. Even when aging giants die during storms, droughts, or fires, their influence often continues. Decaying trunks provide habitat for countless organisms. Nutrients stored within there would return to the soil. Young trees connected through underground networks continue growing. Life persists beyond the individual organism. The forest survives because it functions as a community rather than a collection of isolated trees. Researchers studying forest recovery repeatedly encounter the same lesson. Resilience emerges from connection. Trees, fungi, microbes, insects, animals, and countless other organisms form interconnected systems capable of adapting to change. No single species controls the ecosystem. Instead, survival depends upon relationships built over centuries and sometimes millennia. Every ancient forest standing today is proof of this resilience. These ecosystems have survived disasters that would seem impossible to overcome. Hidden beneath their roots lies a network refined through millions of years of evolution, constantly helping life adapt to uncertainty. The quiet forests we see today are not fragile relics. They are survivors of Earth's greatest challenges. And in the next chapter, we will explore one of the most fascinating questions in modern ecology. Can forests actually influence local weather, rainfall, and climate patterns, shaping the environment around them in ways scientists are only beginning to understand. When people think about weather, they usually imagine oceans, clouds, winds, and sunlight. Few realize that forests themselves play a critical role in shaping the climate around them. In fact, some scientists now describe large forests as giant biological climate engines capable of influencing rainfall, temperature, humidity, and even regional weather systems. Far from being passive landscapes, forests actively interact with the atmosphere every single day. The deeper researchers investigate these interactions, the more they discover that Earth's greatest forests help create the very environmental conditions they need to survive. One of the most important processes is transpiration. Trees continuously absorb water through their roots and release it into the atmosphere through tiny openings in their leaves. A single large tree can release hundreds of liters of water vapor each day. Multiply that by billions of trees across a forest, and the result becomes astonishing. Entire forests function like enormous natural pumps, moving vast quantities of water from the ground into the sky. This moisture contributes directly to cloud formation and rainfall. The Amazon rainforest provides one of the most dramatic examples on Earth. Scientists estimate that billions of tons of water are recycled through the Amazon's trees every day. Moisture released by the forest rises into the atmosphere, forms clouds, and eventually returns as rain. This process repeats continuously, creating a self-sustaining cycle that supports one of the most biodiverse ecosystems on the planet. Some researchers refer to these atmospheric rivers as flying rivers because they transport massive amounts of water across continents. Without forests, these moisture cycles would weaken dramatically. Rainfall patterns could shift, temperatures could rise, and ecosystems could become less stable. In some regions, extensive deforestation has already been linked to reduced rainfall and increased drought conditions. The removal of trees affects far more than the local landscape. It influences atmospheric systems operating hundreds or even thousands of kilometers away. Forests also regulate temperature. During hot days, trees provide shade that cools the ground beneath them. Through transpiration, they release water vapor that further lowers surrounding temperatures. This natural cooling effect can be significant. Forested regions often remain noticeably cooler than nearby urban areas or open land. In many cities, planting considered one of the most effective to reduce extreme heat. Ancient forests are particularly important because of their immense size and complexity. Large mother trees contribute enormous amounts of moisture to the atmosphere. Their extensive root systems access water stored deep within the soil, allowing them to continue transpiring even during dry periods. This helps stabilize local climates and supports neighboring vegetation during times of environmental stress. Recent satellite observations have revealed something even more remarkable. Forests may influence cloud formation directly. Scientists observed that trees release microscopic particles known as biogenic aerosols into the atmosphere. These particles can serve as nuclei around which water droplets form. In other words, forests may help create the conditions necessary for clouds to develop. The trees are not simply responding to weather. They are participating in its creation. The relationship between forests and climate extends far beyond rainfall. Trees also play a major role in regulating atmospheric carbon dioxide. Through photosynthesis, forests absorb carbon dioxide from the air and store carbon within their trunks, branches, roots, and surrounding soil. This process helps slow the accumulation of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Old-growth forests are especially valuable because they store enormous quantities of carbon accumulated over centuries. Beneath the surface, fungal networks contribute to climate regulation as well. Healthy soil rich in fungi can store significant amounts of carbon for long periods. The underground ecosystem acts as a vast carbon reservoir, helping stabilize Earth's climate. Scientists increasingly recognize that protecting forests means protecting both visible and invisible components of these ecosystems. Climate models suggest that the loss of major forests could trigger cascading environmental changes. Reduced rainfall, higher temperatures, weaker carbon storage, and altered atmospheric circulation patterns could affect regions far beyond the areas where trees are removed. Conversely, restoring forests may help strengthen climate resilience and support ecosystem recovery. Perhaps the most astonishing realization is that forests are not merely shaped by climate. They actively shape climate themselves. The relationship is dynamic and interconnected. Trees influence rainfall. Rainfall supports trees. Fungal networks support tree growth. Healthy ecosystems regulate carbon. Carbon influences global temperatures. Every component interacts with countless others in a vast environmental system spanning the planet. Ancient forests demonstrate the power of these relationships. For thousands of years, they have maintained local climates, supported biodiversity, and stabilized ecosystems through processes invisible to most people. What appears to be a collection of trees is actually a complex environmental machine operating continuously across generations. The more scientists learn about these systems, the clearer one fact becomes. Forests are among the most important climate regulators on Earth. Their influence extends from the soil beneath our feet to the clouds high above our heads. Every breath we take and every drop of rain that falls may be connected, in part, to the silent work of forests. And in the next chapter, we will explore one of the greatest mysteries of all: whether forests possess a form of collective intelligence that emerges from millions of connections working together across entire ecosystems. For centuries, intelligence was considered a uniquely animal trait. Humans built civilizations, solved problems, communicated through language, and created technology. Even among animals, intelligence was often associated with brains, memory, and complex behavior. Trees, by comparison, seemed passive and silent. They stood rooted in place, unable to move or make decisions. But as scientists continue uncovering the hidden complexity of forest ecosystems, a controversial question has emerged. Could forests possess a form of collective intelligence, unlike anything humans have ever encountered? The idea sounds almost unbelievable. Trees have no brains. They have no neurons. They cannot walk, hunt, or speak. Yet modern research has revealed behaviors that challenge traditional assumptions about intelligence. Forests communicate through fungal networks. They share resources. They warn one another about threats. They adapt to changing conditions. They support younger generations. They recover from disasters. Individually, these abilities may not seem extraordinary. Together, however, they paint a picture of a system far more sophisticated than scientists once imagined. One reason this debate has become so intense is the discovery of distributed systems in nature. A distributed system does not rely on a single central controller. Instead, intelligence emerges from interactions among countless connected components. Human brains operate this way. Billions of neurons interact to produce thoughts, memories, and consciousness. Ant colonies provide another example. Individual ants possess limited capabilities, but collectively they can solve complex problems, build elaborate structures, and adapt to environmental challenges. Some researchers believe forests may function similarly. No single tree controls the ecosystem. Yet through fungal networks and chemical communication systems, millions of organisms exchange information continuously. Decisions about resource allocation, growth patterns, defense responses, and ecosystem recovery emerge from interactions occurring across the network. Intelligence, according to this view, may not require a brain. It may emerge wherever information flows through sufficiently complex systems. Evidence supporting this perspective continues to grow. Scientists have observed trees adjusting behavior based on environmental conditions. Forest communities respond collectively to threats. Resource-sharing networks help maintain ecosystem stability. Electrical signals travel through fungal pathways. Chemical messages coordinate biological responses across large distances. These observations suggest forests process information in ways previously considered impossible for plants. However, not all scientists agree with the intelligence hypothesis. Many researchers argue that these behaviors result from natural selection rather than intelligence. Over millions of years, evolutionary pressures favored trees and fungi capable of cooperating effectively. The resulting systems appear intelligent because they solve problems successfully, not because they possess awareness or consciousness. According to this view, forests are incredibly complex, but should not be described as intelligent in the same way animals are. This disagreement highlights a deeper question: what exactly is intelligence? Is it the ability to learn from experience? The ability to process information? The capacity to adapt to changing conditions? Or does true intelligence require self-awareness and conscious thought? Different scientists answer these questions differently. The definition itself remains one of the most challenging problems in modern science. Interestingly, similar debates occur in fields beyond ecology. Researchers studying artificial intelligence often ask whether machines can become intelligent without becoming conscious. Computer networks process enormous amounts of information without possessing awareness. Yet they can solve problems, recognize patterns, and make decisions. Forests may represent another example of complex systems capable of information processing without traditional intelligence. Ancient forests provide the strongest arguments for collective behavior. These ecosystems contain networks built over centuries or even millennia. Millions of trees, fungi, microbes, insects, and animals interact continuously. Information flows through countless pathways. Resources move where they are needed most. Disturbances trigger coordinated responses. The entire ecosystem behaves more like a living superorganism than a collection of separate individuals. Some scientists compare forests to biological cities. Just as cities contain transportation systems, communication networks, energy distribution systems, and communities of interacting individuals, forests contain underground highways, chemical messaging systems, nutrient-sharing networks, and highly interconnected populations. The similarities are striking. Both systems achieve remarkable complexity through cooperation among countless, independent components. Perhaps the most important lesson from this debate is not whether forests are intelligent, but how much remains unknown. Every year, new discoveries reveal additional layers of complexity hidden beneath the forest floor. What seemed impossible a few decades ago is now supported by scientific evidence. The boundaries between intelligence, communication, adaptation, and cooperation are becoming increasingly blurred. Whether forests possess true intelligence may remain unresolved for years to come. But one fact is undeniable: they are far more sophisticated than humanity once believed. The silent forests covering our planet are not passive collections of trees. They are dynamic, interconnected systems capable of responding to challenges with remarkable efficiency and resilience. As our understanding grows, forests continue teaching us a humbling lesson. Intelligence may exist in forms we have never imagined. Life may solve problems through strategies entirely different from those found in humans or animals. And beneath the quiet canopy of Earth's oldest forests, one of nature's greatest mysteries may still be waiting to be discovered. In the final chapter, we will bring together everything scientists have learned about the hidden world beneath the trees and explore why protecting ancient forests may be essential for the future of life on Earth. For thousands of years, humanity viewed forests as collections of trees. They provided wood for shelter, fuel for fires, food for survival, and land for expansion. We admired their beauty, explored their mysteries, and depended upon their resources. Yet only recently have we begun to understand the astonishing reality hidden beneath their roots. What scientists have discovered over the past few decades has fundamentally changed our understanding of nature itself. Forests are not simply landscapes. They are living networks. They are communities. They are systems of cooperation, communication, adaptation, and survival that have been evolving for hundreds of millions of years. At the beginning of this journey, we descended beneath the forest floor and uncovered the wood wide web, a vast underground network connecting trees through fungal pathways. We learned that mother trees help support younger generations. We discovered that warning signals spread across forests before danger arrives. We explored evidence suggesting plants can retain information from past experiences and adapt to future challenges. We entered the hidden fungal kingdom responsible for connecting entire ecosystems. We witnessed forests recovering from disasters that seemed impossible to survive. We saw how trees help regulate weather, rainfall, and climate itself. Finaji. We examined one of science's greatest debates: whether forests represent a form of collective intelligence unlike anything humanity has ever encountered. Taken individually, each discovery is remarkable. Together, they reveal something extraordinary. Forests are among the most complex living systems on Earth. One of the most powerful lessons forests teach us is the importance of connection. In nature, survival rarely depends upon isolation. Trees thrive because they are connected. Fungi succeed because they form partnerships. Ecosystems endure because countless organisms support one another through networks built over generations. Even the strongest mother trees depend upon relationships hidden beneath the soil. The forest survives not because of individual strength alone, but because of cooperation across the entire community. This lesson becomes increasingly important in today's world. Humanity often views nature as separate from civilization. Forests are treated as resources, landscapes, or distant wilderness areas, yet science reveals a different reality. Human life is deeply connected to forest ecosystems. Trees regulate climate, forests produce oxygen, they store carbon. They protect water supplies, they support biodiversity. They influence weather patterns that affect agriculture, economies, and entire societies. The health of forests and the future of humanity are inseparable. Ancient forests are especially valuable because they contain biological networks that have developed over centuries or even millennia. These ecosystems represent libraries of evolutionary knowledge. Every mother tree, every fungal network, every species interaction contributes to a system refined through millions of years of adaptation. Once destroyed, such complexity cannot be replaced quickly. A newly planted forest may contain trees, but it can take centuries for the hidden relationships beneath the soil to fully develop. Scientists increasingly recognize that protecting forests means protecting entire networks rather than individual trees alone. Conservation efforts now focus on preserving ecosystem connections, biodiversity, and the underground fungal communities that sustain forest health. The goal is not merely to save trees. It is to protect living systems that support life on a planetary scale. There is also a profound philosophical lesson hidden within these discoveries. For generations, humans placed themselves at the center of intelligence, communication, and complexity. Forest research challenges that perspective. Life has evolved countless strategies for solving problems. Not all intelligence requires brains. Not all communication requires language. Not all cooperation requires conscious planning. Nature demonstrates that extraordinary complexity can emerge through relationships, connecting millions of organisms across vast scales of time and space. Perhaps that is why forests continue inspiring wonder. They remind us that Earth still contains mysteries beyond our understanding. Even in an age of satellites, artificial intelligence, and advanced technology, entire worlds remain hidden beneath our feet. Every forest path crosses networks that scientists are only beginning to decode. Every ancient tree stands above relationships older than human civilization itself. The next time you walk through a forest, pause for a moment and look around. The trees may appear silent, but beneath the soil, millions of messages are moving through invisible pathways. Nutrients are being exchanged. Warnings are spreading. Fungal networks are connecting generations of life. A hidden world is working continuously to maintain balance within the ecosystem. What appears to be a quiet forest is actually a living conversation that has been unfolding for millions of years. And perhaps the greatest discovery of all is this: forests are not separate from us. We are part of the same interconnected Earth. The same planet that created forests created humanity. The same natural systems that sustain ancient trees sustain us as well. The forests have been teaching this lesson all along. Everything is connected. The deeper we explore nature, the more clearly we see that the future of forests and the future of humanity are woven together within the same living network. And beneath every ancient woodland, that silent conversation continues. To end. Thank you for watching. If this documentary changed the way you see forests, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Earth Discovery 360. Discover the hidden world around us.